One of the things that I am going to do today is I'm going to give you a little talk or a little guidance about what it means to work in groups. I give the American education system a solid F for teaching students how to work together in math classes. I don't even think it deserves an F. I think it deserves you're not even in the ring, right? One of the things that you're seeing in this class is that I want you all to spend time working together. And I want you to do that in the context of the problems, but my claim is that I also want to encourage you to challenge yourself to do this as you're getting ready for the exam. When I was a student, I used to think about having 3 types of math buddies. So people that I worked with, I wanted 3 categories of those people. And you could think about, I used to think about math knowledge as a hierarchy. If both people are studying math, generally, it could be on whatever subject that somebody that I'm working with knows more than me. It could be that somebody that I'm working with knows the same as me. It could be that somebody I'm working with knows less than me. When I was getting ready for a math test, when I was getting ready to ace a math test, I wanted all 3 types of people in my corner prior to the exam. If the exam was on a Tuesday, to be honest with you, on the Friday night before, the week before. So Tuesday, then we've got, I guess on your side, here's Tuesday, you got the Friday, Saturday, Sunday right there, right? And then you've got the Friday, Saturday, Sunday right there. Friday night I would cancel all social engagements. Normally I would stay up till 4 or 5 a.m. on Fridays. I very much enjoyed that, but on the 2 Fridays beforehand I would cancel all that. That first Friday is when I would make my entire test schedule. So I wouldn't do actually studies, but I'd look at the entire next week and I'd make a day-to-day schedule. Saturday, Sunday, I like to dedicate at least 2 or 3 hours on that first Saturday and the first Sunday just towards the test study. And then Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was a little bit harder because I always had other classes, right? But I like to make a commitment that at least 30 minutes on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday was just for test prep. By Thursday and Friday, I was feeling like I wanted to get some guidance. Or also I like to commit to office hours on that first thing to share, what's my strategy, what suggestions that you have, etc., right? By Thursday and Friday, I would want to talk with students that knew more than me. I would want to go talk with them and say, hey, here's some of the stuff I'm struggling with, what suggestions do you have? And that includes my teachers for sure, but it was definitely with students because students thought about the material in a much better way than I did. And I would always try to get to a place where they were actually answering questions that I had. Then, on Thursday or Friday, I would actually find students that were at my level or below, and I would offer them free 2-hour study sessions on Saturday, Sunday. If it's on Tuesday, I would cut it off Sunday at 12 p.m. So I would offer myself, I'd literally be like, do you want help with the test? Saturday morning at 11 a.m., show up, and I'll give you 2 hours of you ask me any question under the sun, and I'll try to answer it. And then I would get a different group of students to do that on Sunday. My goal in doing that was literally, I wanted to see if I could get their grades better. But you know what one of the funny things about that experience usually was?
When you teach somebody something, your understanding solidifies.
Yeah. The process of having to answer their questions made my understanding of that material 20 times better. And bar none, every single exam that I did this for, which was all of my lower division and many of my upper division math classes, if the exam was 10 questions, a minimum of 4 of those, one of my colleagues would have asked me during those study sessions in the exact form with different numbers. And I had to explain out loud how to solve that to somebody that didn't know how to solve it. So not only did that person hopefully get a better grade, but they basically guaranteed that I had 4 of the 10 problems for free and that the other ones were related to that conversation. The other thing that I like to say is that that camaraderie made a huge difference in my career. I'll tell you a story about this guy named Brandon. I won't use his last name. Brandon was one of the guys that was really struggling in the class. He was an engineer. He got a D- on his first exam, and the first time I met him was on the Sunday. So I was running a study session. His friend invited him, came, I met him for 2 hours, then he got a D-, and then after that he came up to me and he's like, I really liked that session, could I study with you? And for the next, I told him during my weeks, I'm not going to give you my study time, but I'll give you some time on the weekends. And so for the next few weeks, we worked every single weekend for an hour or 2. I gave him free tutoring. We got him up to a C+ on his second exam. By his final, he got to like it's something like this, by like a B or B minus, and he passed the class with a C. I was really proud of that. I was proud because he worked his butt off, but I was even more proud because I could contribute to that, and I felt that that was really important for me. To be honest with you, that class was one of the hardest classes that I took in my undergraduate, and I got an A+ in that class, and I can tell you, I got that A+ because of Brandon. He would always thank me. He'd be like, thank you so much, thank you. Every time I saw him, he'd be like, thank you, thank you, thank you. I'm like, Brandon, I gotta be honest with you, the reason that I aced that class was because of our conversations. You asked so many questions and made me articulate ideas that I didn't even think that I could articulate, and because of that, I thrived in that class. Fast forward 3 years, that was the end of my first year. The beginning of my senior year, I had a class that had a project due on the last day of finals. I had been working on that project for 9 days, and the night before at 11 p.m. I was stuck and I had no idea what to do it. Well, just so happens Brandon took that class 2 years beforehand with the same instructor and a similar project. I called up Brandon on that night and I said, Brandon, I'm really struggling. Do you think you have any advice for me? He says, no, I don't. Not only do I not have advice for you, I'm gonna come see you. And he rode 4 miles on his bike from his house to my house, and he stayed up till 4 a.m. to make sure my project was ready. I would never have asked that for him, but I'm telling you, that bond that we created in that class based on me sharing information with him and trying to answer him was quite strong for him, and it meant a huge deal for me. And the thing I do to challenge my students is to have you try to think outside of the box in the American education system. You know what you call a good engineer? Or a good scientist? Somebody gets straight A's, right? You know what I call a great scientist? Somebody who gets straight A's and makes other people's experience in the class better. Somebody that gets straight A's and makes other people pass the class, or make other people go from C's to B's or B's to A's. And I would claim, if we can get you in that mindset, if we can get you in the mindset where you're actively teaching other people, not only will you help them, but my claim is your knowledge, your understanding of this material is going to grow exponentially with every description that you give. And I would challenge, as you get ready for this test, one of the things that we did last quarter, and I'm gonna leave in just a second so you can give that conversation, I challenged every one of my students to make a meeting with at least 3 other people for at least 2 hours before the exam. And during those meetings, I asked them, get as many questions, that you're answering as many questions as you can. Of course, that implies that you don't show up blind. My claim is not, don't do any work, don't prep, don't think about the material, and then just show up and expect somebody to teach you, because that's a waste of time. But if you give an earnest effort and you're really studying, I claim that group studying, doing math together, trying to teach each other, giving all of that energy can be quite a useful skill. I challenge all of you to do that, to not only make your education more valuable, but also see if you can help other people by teaching them the material that you feel comfortable with. And if you don't feel comfortable with, ask really good questions. One of the best gifts you can give to somebody that knows more math than you is make them describe answers to questions that they have never even thought about, because I can guarantee every single one of you has some, what I would call, beautiful questions. And the moment you pose that to a senior student, you actually make their experience a lot more valuable.